My name's Tom Marien. I run a company called One Element. We launched in 2007. And really the concept behind One Element was, at the time I was working in a gym, and it was one of those big gyms with sort of hundreds of people that would turn up at once, and no one would talk to each other, and you'd have people queuing for the treadmill or sitting on a static bike with a coffee or in the weights room. And there was one singular thing that stood out, which was that no one talked to each other. So you'd have hundreds of people in one space and no one would be talking to each other. And then at the same time, a bit like you, I was playing rugby for a team called Old Wimbledonians, and they were a good, fun amateur club. But I would turn up to pre-season there, and there would be 60 old boys training, or young boys to old, probably 16 to 60-year-olds training in the pre-season. So no contact, but they loved the fitness, the chat, the banter, the challenge, the competition. And it was just really, really fun exercise. And then I'd go into the gym the next day and see all those things I just mentioned. And I thought maybe this could work for the public outside, taking all those characteristics of a sports team, that welcoming attitude, that kind of you're part of a squad, that strong social cohesion, and lending that to a kind of fitness company for the public outside. But what I didn't realize at that time, our focus was very much on fitness, was the huge benefits that people get from a group of people, that sort of social resilience that you get in your brain, that you build with other people, and you build this network of friends. So with the two things, we went from very much focused on fitness and getting a load of professional athletes to help write our training sessions. And we gradually, alongside that, have built this social aspect that means that we've got a really sticky membership who are really kind of loyal and become great friends of mine and each other, and sort of lifelong friends, I suppose. So yeah, we're now franchising the business. We've been running, as I say, 14 years. And I believe you remember with us right in those early days, Patrick.
Yeah, it was good fun. I've certainly, that team aspect was really enjoyable. Like from day one, turning up and people asking your name and welcoming you to the group, and offering you encouragement when you couldn't manage that third press up or whatever it was that I was doing. That was not particularly good at the time. To when things improved dramatically, and everyone getting behind you and supporting you on whatever stage of your fitness journey it was. And likewise, I've been in that rugby environment. It felt very similar, particularly to the summer touch, when it was all fun and friendly and no one was bashing each other too hard with tackle pads.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. And you mentioned you wanted to discuss sort of how the member journey works for us, and new members coming in, and injuries and that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think a lot of people around this time, particularly with COVID, and knowing that there's a correlation between being out of shape and how badly it might affect you, I think people are getting into fitness regimes. And I think one of the key questions is how people get into a new fitness regime and try and stay injury free, and how they manage those injuries when they get them.
Yeah, I think this is probably, there's a number of different ways to get into it, and there's a number of different barriers you need to overcome, right from the sort of the psychological one. Do I want to join a gym? And they can be intimidating spaces, as can other things, as can classes. But it's about finding something that you want to do, and then making that a habit. But as you mentioned, that injury prevention idea is absolutely critical as far as maintaining the journey. Now, I mean, you'll have heard a lot about this, but the concept of graded exercise is so important. The problem is that when you decide I want to get really fit really quickly, you don't want to grade it up slowly. You don't want to turn up and just jog for the first few sessions. You want to go as fast as you can. So it's important, I think, firstly, to try to work at, we call it 80% for the first couple of sessions, and not to challenge for that front space. But also, I suppose another key thing is as opposed to looking at you're trying to hit the fastest time you can, or trying to hit the most amount of press ups or the heaviest weight, we find set a time or set a distance that you're working towards, and then try to repeat that over and over again. So you're not just focusing on that power, the explosive side of things, but you're focusing on the endurance side. And that really is what fitness is. it fundamentally is about how quickly you can recover and do it again. So it's your ability to take on and use oxygen and then recover. So people tend to get injured, we find, particularly when they're doing the explosive or the powerful movements. And that really is because you're putting the muscle under a lot more strain, or the ligaments, or the cartilage. And you're also accessing more muscle from the brain via your nervous system. So come away from that explosive stuff, do a more gentle set, but set yourself the task of trying to hit the same splits or the same number of reps for every rep of a certain number of sets, if you like. That sounds quite wide, but I could give you more of an example if that would be helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So, and in terms of when you start to get fitter, I think I've been there several times where I've decided to take some action, get myself fitter, and after a little while got myself injured. And it's very easy to drop off and find yourself potentially in a worse position than when you started, because you've had to back right off. How would you suggest that people see through that stage of their fitness program?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think there's probably a reason you're getting injured. There's probably something that could, and you're probably more of the expert than I am on this side, but if it's happening over and over again, then we need to address why it's happening over and over again, and whether there's a similar injury happening, or if they're linked in any way, or if there's something to do with your movement technique, for example, with running, or whether it's your footwear, for example. But if you're getting injured and getting that setback, then it again is about grading up again and having the confidence to believe that you can build this strength and you can get it right. But there may well be it's quite hard without a specific injury, but if for example your hamstrings are tightening up, and then you're getting knotty hamstrings or even tearing hamstrings, it might be worth addressing the problem there. And often we confuse the hamstrings, is an example, but we confuse the way to get stronger and fitter with hamstrings. If you're constantly tearing your hamstrings, you really want to focus on strengthening them, not endlessly stretching them. Because when we stretch them, we switch the muscle off and we make them longer. And a longer muscle tends to be a weaker muscle. Whereas if you can look at the strengthening exercises, like your hip thrusters or your forward leans with the hamstring, you'll build strength. And so when you come back into your training and you're grading it up, you'll go through that barrier. I think another point I would make is just be acutely aware of those little signs that your body's saying to you. So if you're getting a niggle, if you're getting something or if you're exhausted, actually, the ability for the body to repair is often reflected in how fatigued you are. So if you're tired, come off the pace, come out of the session. Don't necessarily go to every session every week and challenge yourself to be the fastest and fittest person at the group, or the fastest you've ever been.
Okay, so it's start steady, build up steady, listen to your body.
Yeah, I think it's those old messages, I'm afraid. They're true. Yeah, they really are. I mean, yeah, I suppose there's an element of nutrition as well, making sure that you're getting the right proteins and electrolytes post-training session, and that you've got enough energy to do the session. I mean, our sessions tend to be based on speed or distance and time. They're two measurables we know we can put into the session. So they're good fun. They're people challenging each other and talking each other up. So with our sessions, the risks are generally, in fact, I'll let you into the main injury that we get at One Element is really athletic, fast, fit people who have been fit at school, or perhaps played university sport, or even post-university, but then they've stopped for a few years, and they used to be very quick, and they come in and they try and run as fast as they possibly can, and they get this shooting pain through their quadricep, front of the thigh, and it's basically what's happening is they're getting small muscle tears in their thighs. In fact, it never happens on the first time they come, but when they come back the next time, they get what they refer to it as cramping in the front of the thigh. And what's happening is those tears are being reopened on that second sprint session that they put in on the first one. So they think they've done really well on the first one. They come to the second one and they've got sore front of the quads, and it's agony. It's really, really painful. But interestingly, if I say, look, work at 60% for this session, don't duck out, or you can duck out if you want to, but stick with us. And then after this session, go home, stretch it off over the week, and they won't feel any pain when they're not at the session. And then they come back the next week and they build it up. If we can get them through those next 3 or 4 weeks, the pain goes away completely, the strength comes back, and it never ever comes back again, provided they don't stop training. But it's going from, it's a sort of series of being very fit, not training for a long period of time, and then coming back into training and trying to be back here without going through the process. That sadly is where people get tight quads. Now, we don't know everyone that's going to get this reaction, but it may well be as much as 15 or 20% of new members that come in pull up with these tight thighs. And interestingly, if they stick through it and they let themselves come back in, then they generally will stay forever. They'll stay until they move out of the area, or for whatever reason need to move on.
That actually rings horribly true to me. I'm very much in that mentality of, I used to be really quick, used to be fast. Joined in when I was with One Element. I was at an event where we had a famous sprinter. There was some drinking involved, unfortunately, but this sprinter got everyone outside and was judging sprint races down the street. And as part of that, I actually tore my quad and was so hungover that I forgot about it afterwards. And it wasn't until I came to a training session sometime a few days later that I tried to run and got a fairly sharp reminder that I'd hurt myself reasonably badly a few days earlier. And I think that a lot of that came out in my mentality of, I'm fit, I'm fast, I play rugby, I should be absolutely fine. And I just pushed it really hard and suffered as a result. So I think that's absolutely spot on there.
And we often don't think about the front of the thigh when we're running. It's often people refer to glutes, hamstrings, calves as your main running muscles, but the quads are really important as well. And actually, you can't really train for running without running. It's, if you talk to good marathon runners, good distance runners, Kona Ironmen, they'll talk about miles in the bank, and that's really the key to getting to be able to complete a marathon. It's just putting those miles in the bank, building that distance up. And it's the same actually with sprinting. If you just come out and sprint as hard as you can, or if you have a few drinks and then try and sprint against a friend, then I'm afraid the front of the thighs are the ones that will probably, or that maybe the hamstrings will probably pull up on.
Yeah. Cool.
Also, you've got to remember, Patrick, there's plenty of other things that you can do. I think we focus on, if everybody else is doing this one set, I have to be doing that. But there's so many other aspects to fitness that we can focus on, and our trainers can work with you on, or anyone can do. So just because you can't run doesn't mean, for a few weeks, doesn't mean you have to completely move away from exercise. You could still do a really fun HIIT session, or you could still do a Pilates session or a core session. And there are so many aspects to fitness. And I think it's important that we don't focus on that one thing that, I want to run a 10K or whatever it is. It's about, my gut instinct is about, you've got to move every day. You've got to create something that gives you that physical and mental benefits. And focusing just on the running, or I don't know, the bench press, is not going to be a healthy route for the long term. Yeah.
And osteopathy chiropractic very much built around the philosophy that the body likes to move.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Great. So really exciting times for One Element at the moment. What does the future hold for you?
Oh, I wish I knew. Beginning of this time last year, we had never heard of Zoom, and now we're running 30 Zoom sessions a week through our online platform. We've managed to maintain almost all of our membership. We've got all of our franchisees are still profitable and running. We're currently throughout London and in Belfast, and we're looking this spring, we're looking at 3 more franchises, one in Horsham, one in Selborne, and one potentially in your way towards Wiltshire. We're still in early stages of talks with that one. The future, I think we've got a really exciting business model. We've basically you can run our training in the parks. The cost of renting a park versus renting a studio or a gym or a restaurant or something like that, they're very minimal. We developed the business so it looks and feels like a sports club. So you're getting lots and lots of members turning up to those 3 or 4 sessions a week. So then therefore the costs on trainers are minimal as well. We do pay our trainers well, but we do also try to minimize how many sessions we're running because we want to drive everyone there and so forth. So the business model has been shown to work brilliantly so far. And yeah, the goal for me is to really try and start rolling this out across the UK, getting other franchisees involved, buying into the business. The cost of buying a franchise is currently, it's at £10,000, including that. And for that, you get all of the training sessions, you get brought up to pace, you get your website and so on. So everything is wrapped up in that price. And then every week I'm sending, if it was you, Patrick, I'll be sending you the training session for the week. So either you can deliver that or your trainers can deliver that. So we've built the package so it works for the franchisee, whether they're a trainer, a mum, a pilot, running a business. We've got a person who runs a private equity firm who also runs a franchise. So lots and lots of different people from different avenues, hopefully gonna join us. I hope that wasn't too long.
No, not at all. And you've, for people who want a bit more information about this, you're running a monthly Zoom session, are you?
Yes, exactly. So the first Friday of every month at 7:30 p.m, we run a Zoom webinar where we just talk. There's 3 of us who are on it. Myself as the founder, a guy called Richard, who's marketing and operations, and then Ria, who also has some involvement in the central business, but is more talking from a franchisee's perspective. And it takes about 45 minutes for us just to run through the business and the model and the opportunity. And then the question and answer session at the end. And yeah, if anyone's interested in joining us, the next one actually is on a Thursday in April, but then from then on it will be Fridays, just because of Good Friday coming up in April. Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, I was doing a little bit of Instagram stalking earlier, and I think I've stumbled on your secret to success, which is very similar to ours. I gather there is a black lab involved in your business as well.
The key to retention, isn't it? Member retention. They love to come and there's nothing that gives quite as much love as a black lab, I think.
I think they deliberately go and find out the one person who least likes dogs in the room and go and persuade them that dogs are the way forward. Okay. We have Angela's clinic dog who, whenever she's in, will go and personally greet every single patient that comes in. She's very forgiving, and she does back off when people don't want to say hello, but she's loved by many who visit our clinic.
Lovely, absolutely lovely. Yeah, Archie's our dog. He's a hero.
Brilliant. Well, it's good to talk to you, Tom. I'll wrap up there, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Speak to you soon.